Buongiorno a tutti ragazzi, un saluto di Inter worldwide, and it is time for, it's the best sound in the whole world, it's the final word, best sound in the whole world, the final word, match day 7, I believe, maybe even 8, I don't know, I'll have a look at that in a sec. Either way, it's the final word. I never know what's going on and what I'm talking about. I only know the results, and I like to talk about in context what it means for Inter. So let us run through that again for this week. I will start off by saying this though. Shout out to my boy Hal from Melbourne. I have tuned out of the last 3 Inter games. I have slept through 2, and I have worked through 1. Usually I would wake up for the 2 and call in sick to my job, or say that I've got something important in the morning and go in a little bit late. I said after the Parma game and after the Parma result, nah, that's not happening. I can't lose valuable sleep and mental health, and as a result, I'm proud to report that it has been a nice week. I've had a really, really good week, and the absence of sacrificing sleep to watch this torturous Antonio Conte murder ball has been good. It's been the right move, and I call it murder ball for another reason. Shout out to my friend and brother Christian Rivas. We disagree with many things in the world, most of them interrelated, but not all of them. But we do agree on many things as well. One of them is this: after analysing the game against Atalanta via replay, which once again, definitely the better move emotionally, I can say once again that we weren't terrible. We dominated large possessions of the game. There is just no end product at the moment, especially with no Lukaku, and more importantly, as I discussed with Rivas, the team is burnt out. They are demotivated. They look exhausted before they take the pitch, and that's because this high tempo, high sustainable, high risk system has not returned a reward so far. Extrinsic rewards of trophies and silverware are the be-all and end-all of the footballing world. You can make any other excuse in the book as to if you're having a good or bad time or a good or bad season, but until you kiss a cup, until you lift a trophy, whether it's the Coppa Italia, the Europa League, the League, or the Champions League, what joy, what intrinsic ecstasy do you feel while being at the club? What ties you to the club? So that's where we're at with the team at the moment. And this high risk, no reward is not sustainable. You got players missing easy opportunities. Vidal should have had a couple of goals this morning, boys. Let's be real. We had the chances. So Christian and I think, and you let us know in the comments or anywhere else on our socials, what you think about the team being burnt out and how long do you think Conte has left. I know Christian doesn't want him sacked. I personally don't want him sacked. Not necessarily because he's Antonio Conte and I love him, more so because sacking a coach this time in a COVID-stricken November of a season would be an absolute disaster magnified by a million, unless you had Allegri literally pulling him out of his office chair and sitting down straight away after with a plan ready to go, which could happen. You never know. He's the only other manager that could take over this club anywhere in the near future. Cheers to Monday afternoon, eh? The match against Atalanta in the grand scheme of the Serie A is not a bad result. It's not a poor result. It's not a good result because, not getting 3 points ever is not a good result. But, away in Bergamo, where, let's face it, if they had fans, they'd be a lot tougher. But they were there for the taking again today. And if we had Lukaku, we'd probably grab an extra goal or 2. I think Lautaro wasn't great, but, as a striker, your saving graces to having a bad game is scoring. Kudos to him for doing that. Alexis, I said this before, Alexis has got it in his eyes. He's got it in his head. I don't know if he's able to transfer that ability down to his feet as practically as he used to be able to. Seems to be sloppy, makes mistakes, goes down. But we'll see. It was just good to see him play a little bit today, man. Now that we know that he's fit, Barella was good, but not great. But once again, this goes back to what Rivas and I were talking about. Players like Barella and Vidal, they're like tattooed into the team sheet at the moment. The fact that we can't trust Nainggolan to start, the fact that we're iffy over Brozovic, over Eriksson, these shouldn't have been issues. These should have been luxuries, and they're fucking liabilities. From luxuries to liabilities, just like that. Can't believe I'm saying this, but when's Gagliardini coming back? Fungal. I feel like I'm frustrated and cranky, but there's just no emotion to it because I didn't really watch. That's the best feeling. It's the best feeling, man. I recommend people jump on it. But you won't because you're spoiled and you get Inter at convenient times. Us Aussies and the other Asian fans that have to get up at all hours were the most passionate ones. Always will be. Let's talk about the rest of the league. Napoli are the big winners of this match day after getting 3 points. Still burning after their loss to Sassuolo, but they regathered 3 points, and you know what? They'll be in the hunt for it this season just as much as we will until we prove that otherwise. Good for them. Good for Gattuso. I think they won midweek Europa League as well, so Sassuolo not an easy team, and they lost against them. And I think a lot of Napoli fans, even a few that I know, were frustrated, but I wasn't too sure why. I actually think they're performing quite well. Another team that is performing quite well despite the early season adversity is Roma, and I really commend them and their coach, who's been with them for a little bit now, for just grinding it out and being the best versions of themselves and getting those 3 points when it counts. I didn't personally think Pedro was going to have this sort of impact on the side. Like, him coming from Chelsea, he's always been a talented player, but these are the sort of last season moves or last big moves you expect players to rapidly decline in. So kudos to him. I thought after losing Justin Kluivert at the start of the season, that wasn't the smartest move, and I think they sold Under as well. Not that he was doing too much for them, but Pedro swapping youth for experience, and this time looks like it might pay it off. Henrik Mkhitaryan gets ridiculously involved in the front three. I'm not surprised. He did it very well for Dortmund and very well for Manchester United. He was actually very underrated at Manchester United. A huge scapegoat in a club that was failing miserably. Henrik Mkhitaryan, you could play him on the left, you could play him on the right, you could play him in the center, and either of the three that you would play him, he would drift in and out and cover players in that attacking third, and he could always pick it up and run with it in different directions. Heavily underrated footballer. That's it for Roma, I guess. Playing well, defending okay. No complaints there. Mancini's doing alright, I think. I don't have many Roma friends. I don't hear the complaint. I've just been watching them get decent points. And then I thought this morning, I'm like, hold up. Their only negative result is a make-believe loss against Hellas Verona. I don't know if you boys saw it, but that Hellas Verona, the Roman guy who was responsible for fucking up that whole deal, for fucking up that whole procedure of their player not being able to play, apparently he works for Hellas Verona now. Just Italian things, bro. Lazio and Juventus was the big game, and I swear to God, man, I woke up this morning because, when I don't wake up for football, my body and brain knows it's a football night. So I will wake up every single 90 minutes to 2 hours, just sporadically. It's just a real tough battle for 10 seconds to get back to sleep. I've done a great job of it recently. But anyway, I woke up this morning and I pick up my phone and it's minute 88 and it's Juventus 1, Lazio 0, and I'm just like, fuck! And then somehow, somewhere, only about 10 minutes later, I just woke up again. I'm like, might as well check. And I cheered. I literally cheered in my bed at whatever time in the morning it was, 4:50, 4:30. I don't even know what time it was. It was ridiculous. And then went back to sleep. So, suck shit to Juve. From what I heard, I haven't watched any of it. I'll probably watch an extended replay. From what I've heard, they were actually quite decent. tonight, making good off the ball runs. And, you know, Lazio, even with all their injuries, they're still a squad to worry about. They've got great grit, great determination. I've always been a big fan of Inzaghi and everything he's done there as a manager. No Ciro Immobile today, which would have been a huge loss. I imagine Joaquin Correa played. I'm a huge fan of him. He will be an Inter player one day. You can quote me on that. He's a huge Inter fan as a kid, and I have no doubt that if he continues this form at one point, at the very least in his career, he'll be heavily linked with a transfer to our club. Milinkovic-Savic, I saw him in the extended highlights get the ball around a fair bit, and Caicedo with another goal. Good for him. What else? Oh, yes, the all-important Milan draw to Verona. This result was, you know, expected. I was driving to work this morning. Verona goes 1-0 up, cheering. Verona goes 2-0 up. As soon as they went 2-0 up, I was just like, oh, this is going to be bad. This is going to be ugly. This is how games turn around quickly when you get that second goal. So, Milan decided to come back, but to be fair, man, they should have been in it way earlier. They had goals disallowed. Man, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I've always said this to anyone I've spoken football with. A prime Zlatan Ibrahimovic is the best footballer on the planet. It's only because Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi exist that he was not recognized as such. In my opinion, a prime Zlatan, I've always thought he's got an ability unique to anybody else. He's just a one-of-a-kind athlete, and he's incredible. He's missed like fucking 2 or 3 penalties this season, though, so it's amazing to see him screw something up as fundamental as a penalty kick and then be so involved and be the driving force. And at 39, if he's able to play every game this season, not only is it a miracle, they'll make the Champions League comfortably. They'll run us and Juve to the end. And I've said all season that they're going to fall off, but I swear to God, their biggest variable is Zlatan, 39 years of age, Ibrahimovic. If he stays fit, they're top 4 favourites, potential title contenders. Nah, surely not. If he gets injured or he's not playing, they could fall out of the top 6. That's just real talk. So, whatever that it is, man. What's next to talk about? Torino. It was so good to see Torino get a win. Torino getting a win, even though they conceded late. I think it was might have been to Genoa. I don't know, or Crotone. I don't know about that one. I might check that for a sec. They drew 0-0 to Crotone this morning. It was the last game that they got their win, which was really, really good to see. So they drew 0-0 to Crotone. Sassuolo 0-0 against Udinese. Sassuolo maintain their decent form. Rodrigo De Paul continues to be the only spark in an Udinese lineup. He's definitely on the move. In my opinion, if not January, end of this season, he has to move to save his career. He's way too talented for that team. Just contributing to all forms of play in central midfield, ducking out to the left, ducking out to the right. Such a versatile player. Has switched base positions 3 times in his career already. So, you know, kudos to him. Loves a good attack, loves a good shot. Rodrigo De Paul, someone I would sell Eriksen for. Not because of the players they are. I'm a huge Eriksen fan. It's just like, let's get real, yeah? Can't believe it, Christian frickin' Eriksen, and we can't accommodate him. Just keep letting me know what you think about that. It's bizarre. Anyway, going on. Parma and Fiorentina played out a 0-0 draw. Fiorentina, a side that still has a fair few good players. I watched about 30 minutes worth of that footage, and Biraghi looking like his good old self, and that's not that bad. This season I've realised, and it made me realise, like, he wasn't all bad last season. Even Mario Galliano can hear me say that and suck it. But he wasn't that bad, and he gets definitely involved. He just looks so much better in a Fiorentina jersey because their spark doesn't come from anywhere else. So he's the focal point a lot of the time. But, you know, without Chiesa, their outlets on the right are limited. Ribéry is looking his age, finally. Frank Ribéry is starting to play like his age. Nothing against him. The guy's an amazing athlete. He's superhuman. But Iachini, their manager, I think it's Iachini, he looks like he's on the chopping block. And I don't know if their president, you know, I think it's Rocco Commisso. I don't know if he's going to pull the trigger during the season, but Iachini, you know, wearing the hat, proud, as a La Viola Ultra looking lad himself. I don't know. We'll see how that goes for Fiorentina. I know I've missed a couple of other results. There was a decent game I watched yesterday and I forget who was in it. It was Cagliari. Cagliari played, and I actually forget who they played against. I think they beat Genoa. They might have beat Genoa by 2-0. Kudos to them. João Pedro's a very good player. He's always involved as well, and he's somebody that, you know, loves a good sniff at goal, and he's always such a passionate driving force. But the Cagliari side has always been a passionate side. So after match day, whatever it is, you know, after just taking a quick glance at the table, there's nothing out of the ordinary. The clubs that have started poorly at the start of the season are starting to pick up a little bit of momentum. But in context, and all importantly, this is anyone's gig up for grabs this season. This is anybody's gig up for grabs. Juventus are going to drop points, man. Juventus, who've been the unbeatable force, the immovable object, they are so there for the taking this season. Whoever wants it the most out of Inter, Napoli, and Milan has a genuine crack. I don't think Atalanta and Lazio are on that level. About Atalanta, like, there's only so much that their front three can do, because at the end of the day, cohesively under Gasperini, they're awesome. Take each of them individually, and they have their flaws as players when they're out of positions. Josip Ilicic, he's not young. Papu Gomez is not young. Duvan Zapata is youngish. But, you know, as great as they are, and I would take all three of them at Inter, to be honest. I would really take Duvan Zapata. I've said that for a long time now. He's a player that I would take at Inter as a vice Lukaku. He's a very expensive vice Lukaku, but I've got to say, man, he really would be the perfect one. But, you know, he probably wouldn't get the field time that he wants, especially under Antonio Conte. So in terms of Atalanta, you know, I just don't think... There's only so much drive and motivation and, you know, fairy tale piggybackness you can do off your momentum from last season. You know, you're playing football with big boys who've played at big clubs every year and have reset the same big expectations. You can no longer coast on a fairy tale. Each ceiling when reached becomes a new floor, and they need to treat this season like a floor and aim for a higher ceiling. That being said, I still think that at the end of this match day, Milan are something to be a little bit more worried about than we thought. It's not just because of Ibrahimovic. I think that they've got some decent threats and some decent depth off the bench. Like I saw them bring on Brahim Diaz today, and he wasn't too bad. I don't mind Rafael Leao. As I said before, I think he actually can create a couple of good things on the wing. You know, he's actually surprised me a little bit, because I used to think it was only good as a forward. But, yeah, we now have to go into another pointless international break. Ragazzi, that's frustrating. But, you know, any more time off Inter is good time for me. Yeah, I said it. Well, I'm not even going to go back on that. In fact, I'll finish the video on it. Ciao. Hope you have a really good week. I'll check in soon.